Okay. Okay, we are now live streaming and being recorded. So good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the City of Kingston Tree Commission meeting. Today is June 10th, 2021. My name is Suzanne Cahill, and I am the Planning Director for the City of Kingston and the organizer for this virtual meeting. Before we begin our meeting, I would like to go over a few guidelines to help navigate the system as efficiently and respectfully as possible. We ask that any members of the public and the press remain muted and off camera for the length of the meeting. As the organizer, I reserve the right to mute anyone who unmutes themselves. Hold on a minute, I'm admitting people too. Okay, commission members and city staff will control their own mute button. As good practice, we ask that you mute yourself if you are not speaking to avoid background noise and feedback. If a commission member or staff wishes to speak, they will raise their hand. As the organizer, I will call on them before they speak by stating their name clearly for our audio listeners. The commission member will then unmute themselves, state their name, and speak clearly, muting after finished. All of our meetings are recorded. Both video and written transcriptions will be made available to the public on the city website at a later date. If you have any audio issues, please send a text message to the following number, 845-443-0416. Please be aware that phone calls will not be answered during the meeting. The number again to text is 845-443-0416. I want to thank everybody for your patience, and we will now begin the meeting at 3:33 p.m. And everyone has received their agenda. I'm just going to go through and introduce the members of the commission who are present. Again, I'm Suzanne Cahill. I'm the planning director. We have with us Tebby Collins. If you would just raise your hand, Teb. Thank you. Amanda O'Neill, Karine Dutil, and we have a new member, Evan Kang. Hi, and we don't have our alderman or our liaison, but we have a lot of applicants. So we're going to move through this agenda because I know that Amanda and Evan both have to leave. I'm going to skip over the first one, 116 Westchester Street for now, because those individuals are not present. We're going to go right to 350 South Wall Street. I had circulated the information around. We do have the property owner here for that. Juanita, do you want to unmute yourself?
Okay.
Hi, good afternoon. Do you want to just briefly explain what your situation is with the tree? I have sent around the application and the photographs of the tree. I would agree that it's in very rough shape and does need to come down, but I'd like to give you an opportunity to say a few words if you'd like.
Well, this lovely tree has been dying slowly. Branches been falling down. Not large ones, but we did have a pretty good size one a week or two ago. And I'm afraid somebody's going to get hurt, and there's barely any leaves on it. It's time to put it to rest.
Have all the commission members had the opportunity to look at the packet for this particular project at 350 South Wall Street? And do you have any questions for Mrs. Sinclini? Okay. So you are prepared, then you'll have to hire a tree service to remove the tree. You're prepared to do that?
Yes.
Okay. You will have to provide the city with insurance, or your contractor, whoever you get, can provide the city with insurance, and I'll put that in an email to you. Would you be willing to look at planting a new tree or having a new tree planted after?
Most certainly. Certainly. I would like to have a tree. I wish I had this one back.
Oh, yeah, it's a beauty. Yeah, it's. I bet it was beautiful in its day. Yeah. With that, if there are no other questions, I will entertain a motion from a commission member to approve. A motion from Elizabeth. Mr. Chubby. Can I have a
Um,
second?
A motion to approve taking down the tree and replacing it with another a tree.
I
I mean-
second.
Okay, second by Amanda. Can I have a thumbs up for approval of that for all the members? Okay, very good. Motion carried. Thank you, Mrs. Sinclini. I'll be giving you a email.
Okay. And,
Okay.
and then I have permission to call someone?
Yes, you do. You'll get my
Okay.
email in the next, if it doesn't go out tomorrow, it'll go out the beginning of next week.
Okay, when I get it, I can get a hold of someone. Okay, thank you.
All right, very good.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
Okay, so the next one on our agenda is 311 Wall Street. I saw that Victoria, hi. Okay, so this is actually, the address, legal address is 311 Wall Street, but this is actually a sidewalk reconstruction project along Crown Street. And it's to not only repair the sidewalk, but also to prune one of the existing trees and also to plant 2 new trees.
Right. Hi, everyone. I'm Victoria Polidoro. I'm a representative of the owner, 311 Wall Street. They also own the adjacent building in a related entity, 323 Wall Street. And there's a sidewalk that runs the length of those 2 properties on the Crown Street side of the property, which is in dire need of repair. It's uneven, the bluestone is cracked. You know, there looks like there were trees at one point that had been there but have since been removed, and they're trying to do an upgrade on that whole streetscape. So with me today is Corbin Plays. He's the project manager from William Gottlieb, and he's going to walk you through the plan and the tree proposal. We have a few questions that we need your input on today, and he's going to go through them with you.
Victoria, I'm going to try and share my screen so it will show the plan for you.
Okay. Otherwise, Corbin is prepared to show it.
Oh, that's even easier. I'll make him, let me just make him co-host here. Okay, you're all set.
Okay. So here, I hope everybody can see the plan on their screen. This is Crown Street. And this is 323 Wall, and 311 Wall Street is above this area. And in our previous site meeting, we located the trees. This first, there's two, we're proposing 2 new trees. I'll see if I can, it's a long sidewalk, so I'll see if I can fit both of them on the screen. Maybe I'll zoom out a tiny bit. One of the existing locations is that we believe is about right here, and it was about 12 feet from the street light. I did read through some of the guidelines, and I think they said typically it was supposed to be 15 feet. So I don't know if you guys have a preference there. And then our second location that we're proposing is here on the corner. And that kind of, in our minds, evens out the space. It's kind of balanced. You'll have a tree kind of at each end to a degree. I mean, we are planning to repair and restore the sidewalk here as well in front of Wall Street, 323 Wall Street. But I guess first for this tree discussion, are you guys okay? The first question is, are these tree locations acceptable?
I'm okay with the locations. I want to just, if you can move the screen to show the tree pits.
Yes.
Because it's a little tight. I mean, it's normally our smallest pit is 3 by 3.
Yes, and this is, well, So we can make that adjustment. Our proposal is 3'6" by 2'6", which would give the same area as 3 by 3. So I don't know if that's acceptable. And the reason why we kind of squeezed it a little bit on the 2'6" side is so that we could allow for more ADA room here on this portion.
Right.
And we wanted to kind of include a little bit of a surround to kind of delineate where the tree will be. So it's not just bluestone and then the tree pit,
Right.
which also takes a little bit of room. So we're open to suggestions, obviously, whatever you guys think is best.
And the existing tree, I'm trying to recall, Corbin, I can't remember the species of the existing tree.
Oh, I don't know that we actually, did we identify it? I'm not sure. I don't have it written in my notes.
I think it was a Gladitsia tricanthus or something. It was it has the very tiny little leaves, and we have a photo of it that we did submit with the package.
A locust.
Yeah, is that a locust tree?
Yes, I think it's a locust.
Thanks, Corinne.
Corbin, can you pull up that photo?
Yes, I have some photos.
The board members can probably identify it by sight.
And we have George Propus on too. He's our DEC forester.
Which photo would you like to see, Victoria?
The one of that shows the tree, the existing tree, looking.
We have this, we have a kind of a panoramic. Again, it's a little bit hard because it's such a long.
Oh, right.
So can you guys see the screen?
No, it's black.
Oh, okay.
So while he's doing that, I'm just going to run through the questions to keep the board
Okay.
focused on what we need the board to approve today. So number 1 is location of the tree pits. 2, size of the tree pits and design of the tree pits. 3, we're looking for input on the proposed new species for the 2 new tree locations. And 4, input on the size of those new trees. And then we want to talk about this existing tree. It does need to be pruned, and its roots are causing the sidewalk to go up a little bit so that it's not ADA compliant. And so we're looking for a way to maybe prune a root as well. And we want to talk to you about that.
Can you see the photo here?
Yeah, but yeah, it's hard. It's distant, so it's hard to really identify it, I think, from that.
Yeah.
I think we can address it without having
Okay.
the identification. So let's address your questions then. I'll take them, we'll go through them one by one. I think your first one was the placement, the proposed placement of the 2 trees. Corbin, if you could take your screen down. Yeah, I can
Okay.
see everybody now. If we have the placement question on the table, do any commission members have any issue with the proposed locations? And you have this in your materials as well that was circulated to you. Is there any question, or are we okay with that? Corinne?
Yeah, just a question. Like you said, like usually it's 15 feet away from the light, and is it something like you'll be able to move it a little just to make sure like the light, is not going to be taken by the tree? I mean,
Yes,
if
I
it's
think-
okay in the design.
I think we can adjust that. We would move it over maybe another,
Yeah, a few feet just to leave
Yeah,
like,
like 3 feet.
space. Yeah, because I mean, like, when the tree is going to start and so there's no competition. And
currently we're showing it at 12. So would that be 15 feet, or should we move it even a little bit further? We do want to mark out and make sure we're not running into any water lines or gas lines. That
Yeah,
may
that's
come
what
up later.
I was
But,
wondering about utilities as well, like what's going on down there and the depth of your, pits to make, like how deep can you go?
Yeah, in the process while we're doing this, the first step will be to locate any utilities, electric, gas lines water lines. And if we run into that,
Yeah.
we have the survey, so we don't see them there.
Mhm.
But in case there's something that's not shown, then
Right.
we'll alert you guys. But I think for now, if we put it to 15 feet, is that good? 15
Yeah.
feet from the pole?
I think that would be better because there is a canopy, it's gonna go around, so.
Okay. Tebby or Evan or Amanda, any other comment? Amanda?
That was my only concern that he addressed about anything under the ground and having to come back with a new proposal. Because obviously there could be tons of things, but if the survey already says that there's probably not, then that'd be in a good place. And then the extension sounds good to have it farther away from the pool.
Okay, so I think that settles that question. Do we want to talk to the tree pit question now, the size and the design of the tree pits? I would like to see a minimum of 3 by 3. I like the idea of having the ribbon around, having the border around the pit, but I would like to see, my personal opinion is the minimum 3 by 3. Any other commission members have any thoughts on that? Debbie?
So my only concern is, and I'm not an expert on this, but making sure that by putting this border around it, you're not going to impede the roots. I'm thinking about just making sure that it's big, the pit is big enough that the tree is going to get the water and nutrients that it needs, and that the roots aren't going to start coming up. Like we've seen some where rocks or things get put around the tree and then the tree doesn't have what it needs and it starts to upheave the sidewalk.
Well, because of the tightness of this location, I would also like to suggest that we require the soils to be the structural soils that we've been discussing for these types of installations. And George, maybe you can give a little bit of a description of what that structural soil is for Victoria and Corbin.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I actually can ask some questions here. The trees you're taking out, you're not planting trees in the same location. You're moving the new
So
ones over.
actually, there are no trees being removed at this point. We went out to the site and there had been trees historically because we found what looked like old tree spots, like little dirt patches that we assumed trees were in. So Corbin was trying to locate the new trees, in the same vicinity as those bare spots where we assume or guess that there were trees. So we're not removing anything right now. We're proposing 2 additional trees to what exists.
Oh, okay. So if you dig down in places where there might have been trees, you need to go down more than like 1.5 to 2 feet to make sure that there aren't still stumps down there.
Okay.
And that. I noticed from the size that you had the 2 foot by 6 and 3 by 6. That was actually soil size, and the
Yes.
area around it where
Yes.
you show the brick was larger. Is that right?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah, the
so-
soil size is 2'6" by 3'6", but the brick, if you included the brick, it would be larger. And
Yeah,
my solution for if we need to do 3 by 3, I would propose that we just remove the surround that touches the curb. So you would basically eliminate that little piece, because I think aesthetically that would still look nice and you would gain more dirt area. And
Yeah,
I think,
or you could actually just make it pervious underneath the brick.
oh, we could do that too. I imagine that the brick around the tree would be permeable.
Well,
So it would-
not always. It depends on what they do with it. Oftentimes they do brick-like cement and then the whole thing is actually enclosed. And that's the same
No.
question for the strip that's there. You might want to check to make sure that the strip is over like structural soil, which means that, that the water can get into there, that it's not just sealed concrete.
You mean
You
the
know.
sidewalk strip?
No, I mean, Well, even the brick is usually a sealed cement, make it look like a brick,
No,
No, it's actually going to be brick. They will be real bricks.
Yeah, so make sure that you could make sure that that's pervious, and then, if you're replacing the sidewalk, to put structural soil underneath that sidewalk, even though water can't get underneath, it doesn't need to, for at least, the area immediately around the tree, maybe like, I don't know, you had like a 3 foot. So underneath that, there would be the structural soil and maybe a little bit more from either side. That would help, like 3 squares of 4x4 or 3x3 or whatever, whatever the cement work is going to be. That's just options here that I'm giving. And that structural soil is basically goes down, you can go down about 2.5 feet, you can go down to 3, and it's basically a rock mixed with soil, and it allows the roots to grow into the structural soil underneath the pavement, which can be either pervious, open to water, or not. But it keeps the roots from leaving the sidewalk.
George, I'll provide them a detail of that so that
Okay.
they know what, know the materials and the parameters, the
Yeah, okay.
amounts.
yeah, and just to clarify, we are proposing to do true bluestone and reclaim as much of the existing material and existing brick as possible. So we're not going to do like kind of faux concrete, and we'll
Yeah,
be
okay.
doing kind of the substrate as crushed stone and kind of stone dust. So it will allow for some.
Well, the pervious pavement can go underneath the bluestone.
Okay.
Just like that, that's fine.
But you want to put, I'm sorry, I'm not following. You're asking them to put pervious pavement under the bluestone?
I mean, sorry, the structural soil underneath the
Oh.
bluestone.
Okay, structural soil.
I'm sorry.
For the whole strip, or just within like a certain distance from each tree?
Yeah,
Yeah, I would,
I
go ahead.
I believe he was saying like a 4x4 square around the tree, correct?
Got it.
Like so that the
Yeah.
tree has an area to grow,
right.
and then the bricks that we would use around that could be placed on top. It would still allow the water to drain through, but you would keep the same continuous look as the rest of the sidewalk.
As long as it's not going to make the bricks move, so it's a tripping hazard.
Yeah,
The bricks
and I
are
think
right.
that's also part of the code for the Kingston City,
Yeah.
that it needs to be a certain strength.
We've used it before in other applications, and it seems to hold itself fairly well. So other sidewalk applications. The next question you had was the type of tree. Does the commission have any, I know I had sent around after last month's meeting, a new listing of trees that were recommended by both George and John Duvall, the arborist. Do you have any recommendations or preferences to types of trees?
And Corbin, can you bring up the picture of the existing tree that I just sent? I took a picture from Street View. I don't think it's a locust actually, but
I thought it was a little leaf linden myself, but
maybe that's it.
I think it would be good to know like if there's any utilities going on top, like for the size.
Okay, so I'm seeing, are you guys seeing this?
Yes.
yep,
Looks like a ginkgo.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a ginkgo.
yep, it's a ginkgo. Okay. Okay. So for obviously we would look at the smaller types of trees. If you have your lists handy, we had the smoke tree, the American smoke tree, American hornbeam, black gum, eastern redwood, serviceberry, thornless honey locust, crabapple, Turkish filbert, hazelnut, Canada red select cherry, Osage orange, or holly. American holly. Oh, I'm sorry, the holly is in parks and the American holly are for parks. Dogwood, and then we had non-native. We had the Eastern hornbeam, the Swedish mountain ash, the Turkish filbert hazelnut, which is an edible one, so I would steer away from that one, and the Amurmackia, which is that's a maple. Any thoughts, preferences on type of tree? Karine, what do you think?
Yeah,
Yes.
can we see like the picture of the, I mean, it's right on my corner, but I just like to see what's going on around.
There's really not a lot.
Yeah. And we have to put small trees here,
Yeah, well, the tree pit is
too small to,
3 by 3, so we're not going to put a larger tree in.
because what do we have like in medium size? Just because like it looks so wide and like there's no building on the other side.
Mediums, we have the natives, hackberry, eastern hornbeam, yellowwood, river birch. River birch is nice.
Yeah.
Red cedar, hawthorn, pawpaw tree, persimmon, sourwood. Pawpaw tree, persimmon are parks. And then non-native, we had katsura, Japanese zelkova, and little leaf lindens.
Wow. I mean, personally, I think like the sourwood would be amazing.
The sourwood?
I mean, they are strikingly beautiful. I feel like with the open space, it will be just like so gorgeous.
It's a medium-sized tree. Do you think that would be okay in a 3 by 3 pit?
I mean, we'll have to see like
we have the structural soil though too.
Let's see like the mature size to make sure. Okay, give me a few minutes. I mean, maybe somebody else has some other ideas.
Any of the other commission members' thoughts? Ted?
I don't really have any specific thoughts on a particular tree. I mean, maybe they could look into it. I mean, give them the list and see what they think works. And I really don't have a sense of, some of these trees I'm not familiar with, so I wouldn't have a sense of whether the pit is big enough or not. But if they did go with the smaller tree and they go with a crab apple, I would say it has to be a flowering crab. You don't want crab apples falling on the ground.
Yeah. Evan, you had your hand up?
Yeah. So I think like my big question would be like, okay, what's the objective of the tree, right? Is like going to provide shade, or it's just like for there's some other purpose. And like, let's say if we choose like some trees with any required maintenance, and then who is going to provide the maintenance, right? Like so like that kind of impact our choice of the tree. And then of course like the pit size is going to also impact how the size of the tree. But I think that just things like not only like we are looking for long-term solution, but I think in the short-term solution, but long-term we also have to take this into considerations. And then I say if it's the pit is 3 by 3 standard, then perhaps like it will give us more choices. And if it's smaller, then we probably will have to pick a smaller tree, which is going to also grow slower, because like if it's rather smaller pit, then eventually if the tree grows so fast that it might break the sidewalk, and that it will in the long term we will have to fix the sidewalk, and that comes with different issues.
Right.
I think one of the purposes of the tree is definitely aesthetics. It's to improve the streetscape, and it's a requirement by the planning board that these trees be planted. And I mean, it also has the benefits of shading and trying to reduce heat, but I think the primary purpose is aesthetics.
Right, and I think like I'm advocating for the sourwood, but it has like so much like eco-friendly benefits. I mean, it's a great tree for pollinators. it's just an amazing, and it's strikingly beautiful. I mean, I don't know if we can show a picture. And I just checked, like, the maturity for like the spread is about like 20 feet, you know, and it goes to 25, 30. So I feel like, you know, it should be,
Okay.
because like there's so much space. I feel like if we put like tiny little trees, they're not, you know, gonna be strong enough to kind of.
Okay. Amanda, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I like the idea of the birch if it did fit there, but a flowering tree like the flowering crabapple or the dogwood was, you know, something that sounded good to me because it would look very lovely there. That's my input, but the birch does sound better if it would fit because it would fill in the space more and, you know, would really be striking.
Okay. So I think that maybe, obviously, because we don't want to just limit them to one single choice, why don't, if we can come to a consensus that we have the 4 choices, the dogwood, the flowering cherry, the river birch, or the sourwood. We offer those 4 choices as our recommendations for these locations, and then let them choose from those to install. Does that work?
That works for me.
Okay, all right.
If I may, I would just suggest that you have your arborist or think about it a little bit and also look at, the place looks like it gets a heck of a lot of sun. So
Okay.
things like the dogwood might roast
Okay,
over there.
all
So
right,
you might want to give it a little thought and then provide a list.
okay.
You know,
Okay, I mean, I do like the idea of giving us a choice, because as I understand it now, there are all sorts of shipping delays on trees and they're back ordered. So if we could have, 3 or 4 options, it would make this project go faster.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So then the size of the tree, do you have a standard DBH that you require or?
You're probably going, I mean, normally we would plant a 2-inch, but if you're going with a smaller tree, you might only get like a 1.5-inch caliper to start with the smaller trees. With the medium size, you probably go with a 2-inch.
Okay. And then, so lastly, we do want to prune that existing tree that's on the corner of the building. If Corbin can pull the picture back up, but you can see that it's hitting the building. And there are some wires running through it.
Right. I don't have an issue with pruning it and cutting back the, the branches that are, actually overreaching and hitting the building itself or interfering with the wires. You're going to have, I would presume, a licensed tree service or a certified arborist do the work. So I would trust that they will do it correctly. They will have to provide insurance to the city of Kingston, before they do the work. And obviously all this work, has to get permitted by the DPW because it is within the public right of way. So you'll need sidewalk excavation permits.
Right. So, I mean, I'm just throwing this out there. Does it, because this tree is big and it is bumping up the sidewalk, does it make sense, or would the board be opposed to removing it and putting in a new tree with the proper tree pit and structural soil, or do you want us to work to save this tree?
Before I answer, I know I have my opinion already. I will go through the commission members. Karine, I'll start with you.
Well, I mean, my first thought would be like to keep it, I mean, like it's an older tree, it's doing fine here. Like, some trimming and maybe you want to cap it. This way it's not gonna, try to kind of keep on expanding and try to do with it. And if it's really an issue, like go back to it, but just to give it a chance. It's like, it's a beautiful tree.
Okay, thank you. Tebby?
Well, I was going to say the same thing. If the tree is healthy, I think we should try to keep it. I mean, didn't we just see an article about how it's more important to keep the older trees because it takes a long time for these young trees to grow? My only suggestion might be, I'm looking at the photo, maybe removing some of that brickwork around the tree and making that pit a little bit bigger. Maybe that would help the tree. And I think trimming makes perfect sense.
Okay, George?
Yeah, removing the brickwork is a good idea. It's being heaved anyway. And are you going to be working on the sidewalk there also, or?
The sidewalk's gonna repair it all the way to the end of that brick building.
Oh, it's been, okay, you've already done it.
No, not yet. It will be repaired.
So
Yeah.
while
It
that's being repaired, the structural soil, I can see where George is going. The structural soil could be amended around the base of this tree as well.
Well, maybe. You'd have to
No.
have the person doing it would have to look, because you have to see what your roots are doing. If you have major roots going shallow there, you're a little late.
Mhm.
And but you can actually, if you have more roots in like layers, and you need an arborist for this, you could cut some of the upper roots and then put structural soil in, and the tree would still be all right. But it's not a simple thing. You'd have to hire somebody.
Right. Okay,
I mean, the other part is a structural thing, which is really up to the city, and, it's a matter of you widening the sidewalk and reducing the size of the road, because it really is not needed there that wide, I don't think, but that's a big issue, and it has nothing to do with you, really. It has to
Right.
do with a lot more.
okay. All right. So I think we've gone through all of your questions. I'm going to try and sum this up in a single, so we can make a single motion, unless the commission members have any more comments to add. Okay, hearing none, I'm going to go through them. So we're going to move the one tree pit over 15 feet so it's 15 feet minimum away from the light pole. And you're going to have underground mark out all the locations for the new plantings. You're going to increase the pit size to a minimum of 3 by 3. You're going to use structural soils for the new plantings in an area minimum of 4 by 4, and possibly use structural soil around the existing tree base once that's exposed. You're going to be using either one of the four plantings. We have the dogwood, flowering cherry, river birch, or sourwood. If you do a smaller tree, it will be at 1.5 inch caliper. If you do a medium-sized tree, it'll be planted with a 2-inch caliper. You're going to use a certified arborist to do your pruning work. You will provide insurance to the city of Kingston. The DPW permit will be gotten or applied for and received. And the pruning of the existing tree will take place, but you'll also remove brickwork around the edges of that to open the pit up around that area. So that is what I had. Anything else? Tebby?
I would just like to give them a little more latitude on the choices of the trees. I mean,
Okay.
just because, as George mentioned, maybe the dogwood would, they do like to grow on the edges of woods, so maybe that wouldn't work. So if they do consult an arborist and they suggest another tree, maybe you could send them our tree list. And if those ones that we suggested aren't going to work, they can have that default to look at some other possibilities.
Okay. So as opposed to, well, we can say that those would be our our top choices. I can send the tree list to them that outlines the medium sizes and the smaller size trees.
And also if they can't get the one they want, like with, so give them more latitude on that.
Okay, and I'll also send the structural soil spec.
Just remember that the structural soil is underneath the bluestone. So you're actually increasing the growing space. So, you know, it's the medium-sized tree would be fine.
Right. Okay, does somebody want to make a motion?
And I do have one question, clarification. When you're talking about making the tree pit 3 by 3, the pit that Corbin has shown, the dirt area was not 3 by 3, but with the structural soil, it's going to be, you know, at least 4 by 4. So
Right.
is that okay, or did you want to eliminate the brick?
George, what is your opinion on that?
Well, the soil area should be at least, you know, averaging out to 3 by 3. Then beyond that, you can put the structural soil.
Okay.
And if it's under brick, it doesn't make a difference if it's under brick or if it's under, you
Right,
know, or under brick and under the bluestone. It can be under both, no problem.
okay,
So 2 by 6 times 2 feet 6 inches and 3 feet 6 inches is the same average as 3 by 3, right? Just about.
so that would be acceptable, yes.
Okay, I just want clarification. Thank you.
Okay, so can I have a second on that?
I second the motion.
Okay, Amanda, everybody in favor, thumbs up, or Amanda, I just need you to say aye. Ah, there she is. Okay, thank you. All right, so I will get this out to you in the next day or two, and you'll be all set to go forward, okay?
Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on. Paperwork here. We have President's Place. 10 President's Place is up next. And Steve Chabot, you're up. Do you want to just go through, Steve, what the issue is here? Steve? Steve, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. It's going in and out.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yes. Do you want to?
Okay,
just
great.
give a brief, quick overview of what's going on here?
Yeah. I will sum this up, hopefully pretty quickly. I thank you all for your service. As one who's been on numerous commissions, I know how hard everybody works. So anyway, here's the tree in rough shape. You can tell by the pictures that were taken. You know, there's a lot of damage to a lot of dead air. When we moved onto this street in the 70s and came up with an idea, and I think you can see it in the pictures. They lifted up all the bluestone on the street and brought in a big machine and cut all the roots down to ground level and put the bluestone back on it again. And so in pretty short order, the trees started dying. We probably lost half a dozen trees on the street. This tree in question here was actually marked for removal back in the 80s, early 90s, I think. I'm not sure why it was not done. But anyway, it's, you know, I guess that's neither here nor there, and there's no record, so you're only taking my word for this. So a couple things, you know, and I'm just going to make a couple comments here, you know, because I hear from people all the time. So I'm just going to pass things along. You know, and certainly I appreciate what you guys do to beautify trees and remove trees. But sometimes these things, and sometimes it's a burden on folks to pay. This is going to be a substantial bill, I'm sure. But anyway, we're waiting for an arborist to come down. He's insured, and, get his recommendations, see what he can do. The letter from Ryan said possibly some pruning, but I think it's past the pruning point. And there's a tree that's probably only 20 feet away, that's also, you can see the damage to the roots on that one too in the pictures. So, it's only a matter of time before that one is going to need some substantial work. Over the years, we have been in touch with Central Hudson because, again, you can see by the pictures, the branches are laying on electric lines, but they have never taken any kind of responsibility for it. I think they've been down, they looked at it and said they're not their responsibility. So anyway, that brings us to here, and we probably will speak to our homeowners. So actually, Sue, I kind of forgot to ask you if you can send me, if you can cite the regulation that says we are responsible for this, just so we can share that with our homeowners so that they don't think we're trying to put one over on them here.
I will do that, Steve.
So that's really the gist of it. I know we had a finance meeting last night, and we had a discussion about putting some money into the tree commission, to take some of the burden off folks, especially if you get an old, and I've had, old folks in my ward that have gotten letters from the city, and it's $1,000 a day fine, and they panic and they don't know what to do. So it would be nice to have something to fall back on that you can say, hey, we'll help you out a little bit. So anyway, I'm going to be supportive of that, Sue. So come budget time, we'll hopefully we can move something like that forward. So anyway, I guess that's pretty much it. Is there a question?
Yeah, Tebby, you had your hand up?
Yeah. I just want to let you know that the Memorial Tree Fund of the Ulster Garden Club has just instituted a grant to help pay for taking trees down. And if you want that information, I can send the grant to you. It's not a huge amount. It would pay for up to half of taking down a tree, up to $500 to take down a diseased tree. So anyway, that might help out at least a little bit.
I think he's frozen right now, but I'm sure he would appreciate the information, Tebby.
Yeah.
If you want to even send it to me, I'll make sure. Steve, did you hear her?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Okay.
great. Yeah. Yeah, that'll be fine.
I will send the information to Sue so she can send
We'll
it
look
to you.
into that.
She
So
has your contact.
I guess I'll keep you advised of, when somebody comes down, and I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No, you keep cutting out.
Okay.
All right, so when you get what your
Okay. So,
arborist-
so I guess
Okay. Okay, so I just need a motion from one of the members to recommend removal of the tree. Tebby or Crean, do you want to make that motion? All right, motion by Tebby.
Motion to allow them to remove the tree.
Okay, Crean second. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Aye, aye. George, you're good?
Well, yeah, I saw it. You're fine.
Okay. Okay. I'll be in touch with you, Steve, and I'll get you that other information from the Memorial Tree Fund as well.
Okay, great. I appreciate it.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you. And
All
thank
right.
you
Thank
for
you
your
all.
support. Okay, moving on, before we go back to 116, I have Jason Malizia. How do I say your last name, Jason?
The first time was bad, the second time was good.
Okay. From Central Hudson, is on with us. This was a late communication that I circulated around to everybody. It's regarding work that they are proposing to do on West O'Reilly, from 66 West O'Reilly, which is a number that I know, Tebby, you might recall it. It was a tree application, or a tree that had come before us before, that had gotten hit multiple times, I believe, and we've directed already the property owner to remove it. He had some financial issues or constraints, so we've allowed it to be done at a later date, and now Central Hudson is offering to do it. So his problem is resolved with taking that one issue out of our hands. Jason, do you want to just, I've circulated the plans and just the explanation of the proposed work. Do you want to just talk a couple of seconds on, what you intend to do?
Sure.
Thank you.
So Central Hudson, first, I'm Jason Malizia. I'm located in Lake Katrine. I'm in the new business district director. Kyle DeFalco, who is our overhead operations and underground operations supervisor, had a conflict and asked me to present to you folks and ask for some feedback and guidance. Central Hudson will be constructing a new underground infrastructure from our Jansen Ave substation, which is right next to City Hall in the back there, coming down East O'Reilly and crossing over Broadway and then going down West O'Reilly. And our scope of work would start from that Jansen Ave substation and end slightly, I think, further west of Mary's Ave near the cemetery off of West O'Reilly, if you folks are, of course, familiar with that. In choosing the route, we will be placing our infrastructure in the sidewalk on the east side of East and West O'Reilly. And when we did the walk a number of times, we identified 3 trees that would be impacted by our excavation. So our excavation is approximately, for this discussion, is about 4 foot wide by 4 foot deep. So if so the 2 trees in question are 2 Norway maples and 1 red maple. The 2 Norway maples are the before mentioned 66 West O'Reilly, and then the 1 maple is at 12 East O'Reilly. And Central Hudson, our subcontractor, on our behalf, plans to remove these trees if permitted. To remove these trees and replace anything we have disturbed in terms of sidewalk, retaining walls. And our proposal for these removed trees would be to either replace them with new trees or a donation to the committee or something like that. But we were looking for some guidance on what you may want in place of those trees that, in our opinion, cannot remain because of the footprint we'll have in terms of excavation.
Okay, Corinne.
Yes, I have a question about like the caliper of the trees you want to remove.
Say it again.
Like what is the size of the trunk, like the caliper of the trees you're planning to remove?
So the trees in question, I believe, are anywhere from 16 foot wide, 16 inches wide to probably like 24 inches wide. And the footprint of our excavation would not only be in the root structure of them, but in 2 of the instances being directly into the trees, like a third of the tree in terms of the trunk itself. So we didn't see a way we could simply prune the roots and have them remain healthy and in place.
Jason, just a quick question. Why does this has to, maybe you can just give a little bit more explanation about why this has to be beneath the sidewalk area and can't be in the actual roadway itself?
Okay, So Central Hudson engaged the DPW with City of Kingston, and we've had a couple of walks along this route. So specifically on the West O'Reilly side, there's a lot of infrastructure that's below the ground. So if everyone knows that the Verizon building has a main hub there, and they have significant infrastructure along the, I guess, west side of the sidewalk on West O'Reilly. Going east from that location, the city has a water line. Center of the road, the city has a sewer line. And then Central Hudson has gas, and then Central Hudson has their aged underground infrastructure just against the curbing. So the only location for us to place this infrastructure is that sidewalk upon review and on reviewing a few different options to us.
Are there any other questions from the commission? With the replacement, you're going to be basically reconstructing the entire sidewalk areas. So are you going to continue to provide for a planting strip between the sidewalk and the curb, and will the placement of the new line allow for replanting within that planting strip?
That's a good question. So on the East O'Reilly side, there is it looks like a 2 to 3 foot grass area that when we replace that sidewalk, we'll replace it compliant with the city, which I believe is 4 foot wide. The remaining space will remain that grass area that exists today. So there will be an opportunity to plant a replacement tree in that area, in the grass area. The resident at 66 West O'Reilly, they have 2 trees near each other. The one you mentioned that was slated for removal, and then the other one that sits in front of their stairway there. Our recommendation would be to replace it with a single tree, maybe splitting the difference. And being that it's all asphalt there, it's kind of a mixture of replacement asphalt with no grass area or no tree box in that location. I would ask what the minimum size tree box is, and we can put that in with our replacement tree.
Okay. I think that's great. I think, again, the structural soils, Jason, should be used when you're replanting.
Okay. Taking notes.
And I'll send you the spec too on that. Karine?
Yes, and I have a question actually for the board about like the restitution system like in Kingston. I'm familiar with the one in New York City, and when I ask about the caliper, it's like in New York City when you remove a tree of a certain caliper, you have to kind of like not only replace like the trees that were removed, but you have to replace like the exact amount of the caliper. It's calculated in square inches, and I mean like not only you replace the tree that you cut, but you also provide the city or the place like the number of trees that will amount for all the trees that have been removed.
Right.
So that's like a very I mean I just studied here like there's all this calculation and it shows you like exactly how it works, and I'm just wondering if it's something that happens in Kingston, if something we should talk about in another time.
Yeah, I think, I understand what you're saying. The question becomes, and this is something also that would have to be assured, because the way our City of Kingston code is written, the property owners become the responsible party for the street trees that are abutting their property. Even though they're in the public right of way, it's the responsibility of the property owner to care and maintain them going forward. So while I like the idea of them providing, in their replacement, a tree strip, a planting strip that would be capable of having more trees planted, I would want the assurance, if we ask them to replace these 3 trees, maybe with 4 or 5 in this stretch of street segment, that we have the assurance of the property owners behind it, that they'll maintain them before we just go and plant a tree and then nobody wants it and nobody cares for it and it just dies. It does nobody any good. I want to put it in a place, and I would think that it's a significant length of street that we would be able to find a few property owners maybe that would appreciate getting a street tree in front of their home, that is suitable, and that, they would care for. That's my thought. Anybody else?
And to that point, Stu, I mean, my recommendation of and hearing feedback from our folks of potentially if that owner at 66 or 68 West O'Reilly wanted that one tree, was responsible for that one tree removal, and we came through and removed it. The idea I was presenting was to consolidate those 2 into one. We would be open to replacing 3 for 3 with if we found that one owner couldn't care for it, and of course Central Hudson contacted that owner and spoke to them about it first, would look to other locations to place up to those 3 trees.
Right. Anybody
I
else?
had a quick question.
Yes.
With the tree removal for the 2 trees, does that include digging up and removing all aspects of it?
So the city's guidance was that the city DPW guidance was that we couldn't, and we wouldn't, but we couldn't leave a stump there, that it would have to be grinded below grade. So the cutting, the excavating we would do under the sidewalk and in, let's say, the footprint of the existing roots, anything we came across of that tree would be removed. And then specifically where that trunk sat below ground, we were responsible for grinding below the grade as the guidance we were given.
So I would think that might affect some, possibly where to be able to be planted for a couple of years as well, if it's close to where roots might be involved.
Right. I mean, if there's
That's why it's in both instances, 12 East O'Reilly, that landowner has, there's some flexibility there. Like they have a grass strip, I think anywhere from 30 to 40 feet long from the corner to where their property ends. And then with 66 and 68 area, again, if we approach the owner and they can care for it, we could split the difference of those 2 trees and then find another location further west for another.
Okay. Okay, so any other thoughts on this? I mean, the work needs to get done, obviously. I like the fact that they are going to, when they put the sidewalk and everything back in place, the infrastructure above grade, they're going to leave a tree lawn there available for planting. I would, I don't know what the distance, it probably varies as you go down up and down the street, but I would like to see a minimum of a 3 foot wide as much as possible, Jason. If we can maybe select some locations in advance, then I would like to see structural soil used for replanting. I would like to see, because we're taking out 3 very large trees, which I consider very substantial trees, even though one is already on its way out, I'd like to see maybe 5 more trees put in return along the street. And I would ask that maybe one of our commission members work with Central Hudson or their consultant to identify the locations.
Specific to the East O'Reilly side, yes, the soil will, there may be that when we come through with the replacement sidewalk, off the top of my head, I don't know what the city's minimum requirements are for width. So I don't know if that existing grass gets squeezed a little bit. Okay. And on the West O'Reilly side, presently, and I'm going by memory, there's there may be some areas that have some soil there, but the others are, the two trees are coming directly through the asphalt. So we would work with you folks and find the locations of where we want the trees, and the tree planting area, like you mentioned, like with the tree well, maybe those 3x3s where we pick those locations. I don't know specifically for West O'Reilly if their intent is to replace the sidewalk, stop before the bluestone curb and allow for structural soil for planting, or that the width of the sidewalk gets so close to that curb, there's not enough room to have it without building out the tree well we're talking about, the 3x3.
Okay. Who would, if we get a commission member available, who would they work directly with? Would they work with you, or would they work with Jack?
Well, they can contact me, and I would have my forester come out, and we take a walk and talk about it and I'd also bring the subcontractor that's responsible for the sidewalk replacement.
Okay. I don't know, Corinne, would that be something you might be interested in, or Amanda, maybe you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let me
Can I ask
just
a-
email
can I-
me
can I
if
ask a-
you are interested, email me. And George, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, if I can ask a question, I'm kind of, this is not like out of DEC, it's just me. Do you know where the right of way is there? And is there any chance of moving the sidewalk towards the buildings? You know, to allow more space for tree planting, if it's okay with the homeowners, or if it's within the right of way?
That's a good question. The difficulty is that a majority of the folks over there on West O'Reilly have retaining walls that come up to, and our understanding is the retaining wall comes right up against where the city limit is in most of those instances.
Okay.
I'd say it's about 50-50, but there are retaining walls, and it seems like the right of way goes up to the apron where the bluestone and mixture of asphalt, cement sidewalks sit today. So it's a good idea, but I don't believe there's an opportunity to go into the property anymore.
Gotcha, yeah. And just to make it clear, the structural soil goes under the bluestone, under the sidewalk when it's replaced. It doesn't go in the, in the pits or in the strips.
Say that again?
I need to make, sometimes people confuse it. The structural soil goes underneath the sidewalks or underneath the bluestone, not in the pits or, in the grassy area. Did you get that?
Yeah, understood.
Yeah.
I'll have to get back to the committee on what the intent is for the fill below the cement and the above the ductwork we're doing.
Yeah,
And take
if you're
that back.
going down, your structural soil can go down about 2.5 feet. It doesn't have to go down deeper than that. If you're going down 4 feet, then you might, just, it might work for you.
How deep again, Jason, are the new lines going down?
So the approximate excavation is anywhere from 3 to 4 feet deep and anywhere from 3 to 4 feet wide. And to the top of our duct system, the concrete encased system. So it's conduits. There's going to be 6 conduits that run under the sidewalk, and it's encased in concrete. And from the top of that concrete, under the sidewalk specifically, there might be 2 foot of grade to the top of the sidewalk grade. So I think what you're saying for the structural soils is that from the top of that that structure to the base setting, we'll be setting for the sidewalk. Right. You're looking for structural soil in there.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
I have to respond back to you folks because I just don't know what the construction group does.
The other thing good on that is in your forest will know that is that the roots will stay in that area. They won't go deeper. So, so it will keep it away from your conduits.
It's true.
Okay. So I guess the commission overall is okay with the removal of the 3 trees. We're going to replace those removals with 3 to maybe 5, I'd like to hope, new trees in locations that are agreed to by the abutting property owners, Central Hudson, and the city of Kingston, or a representative of the tree commission will work. In terms of species, I guess we'll have to hold off. We'll, give the list of recommended trees because we don't know what the actual growing area is going to be at this point in time. So we can't really define a type of tree. I know this, Jason, you have to get DPW's permit as well before. I know you've been in touch with them. They've already reached out to me and let me know that, and insurance. But you also provide that to the city, all throughout the city of Kingston. So that's covered already. Do the commission members have anything else? Oh, the use of structural soil. I will make a note of that. Anybody have anything else? Okay. Does somebody want to just say that as a motion? Oh, I'll have said it as a motion. Will somebody second it?
Oh, actually, Susan, can I ask a question?
Yep.
With the money that you guys have for street plantings and stuff, I sent you a bunch of stuff. So somewhere along the way, I gather either we need to talk about it as, for, if you wish, for locations and stuff, because I suggested a whole bunch of locations and things, and it may need, it needs more looking into, I would think, by, whoever, your DPW or your arborist or somebody. Because I think you've got plenty of locations, but I think they got to be worked on a bit.
Right. That's on our agenda, George, to just briefly chat about that. We did get your comments, and I spoke with Kyla before the meeting. She couldn't be here today. So we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. I just want to get through this one right now.
I thought you were closing down. I'm sorry.
No. I know Queen's got to leave though, so I want to get this vote taken. So I made that a motion.
Question?
Somebody second it? Yeah, Jason.
Just so I have clarity on it though, if we're talking about structural soil, and now I'm familiar with what you're asking about, soil between the top of the duct, and we'll obviously have some item 4 for the base of that sidewalk, where there'll be this cavity that structural soil will allow for root growth. Is it correct to say that that's the request and requirement for areas where we plant a tree in this round of planting? Okay, and not throughout.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, just in those areas.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes me feel okay.
Yeah.
By the way, structural soil is equivalent with item 4 in use,
Okay.
but your people will know that.
Thank you.
Okay, can I have a second now? Okay, Corinne, second. Can I have votes? Yes. I got Amanda, Tabby, Corinne. Yes. Okay, motion carried. Jason, I'll be sending you an email.
All right, we'll be in touch.
I'll send it to you, and I'll copy Jack as well.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Take care.
Bye, sorry.
Okay, I know, Corinne, you gotta go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard on these awkward days, but I do want to go back to 116 West Chester Street. I just went out this afternoon and sent some more pictures. I don't know, the tree does look pretty bad, and I think it probably should come down. But this again would be another place where I would recommend all the same things, that it be done by a licensed arborist, the insurance be provided to the city, that they replant another tree or get on our list for replanting. The bark is falling off of the tree around the base of the tree. It has leafed out pretty good, but there is a lot of dead wood in it when you get up close. So I'm not sure what's going on inside the tree. I don't have that expertise to make that determination. But if you want, we can hold this off until the July meeting because the applicants are not here. That will give everybody an opportunity maybe to drive up there and take a look at it. And then you can, we can talk about it next month, or we can make a decision now. Comments? Corinne?
Yeah, before I go, I mean, I would be happy to look at it and talk about it for the next meeting, but I let you.
Okay,
That's it. I have to go this time.
okay. Tebby? You're muted, Tebby. I can't hear you. Yeah,
That's fine. That's fine with me. Just put it off till the next meeting so we can go.
Okay.
through it.
okay.
I didn't get a chance to look at the pictures you sent.
Yeah, I just sent them, I just went out like at 2 o'clock, so 2:30, so. Okay, I will put that one off then. So then moving
It's
on.
fine with me too. I only got to look on my phone, so I didn't get a good look at the pictures.
Okay, all right, good. Then well, yeah, then it's not a problem. They weren't able to make it today. Hopefully next month they'll be able to make it. So our next item on the agenda was the New York State, the grant that we did get. As I said, I spoke with Kyla earlier today. She is working actually on a brochure that will have an application inside of it. So it'll be part of the brochure that will go out and it'll be distributed in various places. It'll be made available. People can pick it up, mail it in. We'll put it on the website. We'll do a press release. So that's one way we're going to get the word out. She also, I guess she had sent an email out to you, Tebby, and to Vince, asking you two if you would be interested in working with her to find some locations for the trees, looking at the inventory, which we've had, our engineering department took the inventory and made up a Google map that defined larger spaces, medium-sized spaces, and smaller spaces. So that's on a citywide map. And now that we can meet face-to-face, since it would be a smaller group, it would probably be you. Vince has agreed to do it. If Tebby, if you're willing to do it, would be you, Kyla, me, George, maybe if you would want to join us, and then our engineering department to look at the map and go through some of the fine details. We are presently working with the DEC to get the contract documents in place. I went last night to the council finance committee meeting. We talked about this grant. The council, we have the full support of the council. They're very enthusiastic. They're very happy to hear about this grant because they do see, they recognize the number of trees that are coming down throughout the city. So they're extremely pleased with this and very supportive last night. So that was good news. The resolution for the execution of the paperwork is going through. And the matching dollar amount will be put into the budget for next year. So that's all in place now. That was a big step forward. And Kyla would like to set something up either next week or the first week of July as a subcommittee meeting. So Tebby, are you interested in that?
Yeah, I can help out with that.
Okay.
But I'm going to be gone from July 5th through the 11th.
Okay, I will let her know that then. Where did I write that note? Okay. Okay, so maybe she'll try and set something up next week, depending on your and Vince's availability. And George, she'll get that out to you. We do have your comments, and she was going to try and pull things together in a smaller group and then bring it to the whole commission after we get some working documents together. So that is what I have there. The next item on the agenda would be the donation of the tree by Augustine. We found a forever home for it. It's going on Pine Grove. It's a little leaf linden. So I reached out to Scott Dutton, who did the other 18 trees there. And he agreed to take it, plant it in that strip as well. And he is maintaining all of them. Just as a matter of record, he actually purchased a tank. So he has the capability of watering all of those trees in Pine Grove median, and he's taking care of them. So that's a really good thing, because we were really worried about whether or not they would get the attention. But between him and the YMCA there, they're maintaining that and taking care of that whole strip. So that, I think, is going to look really great going forward. And, once the intersection with Grand Street and Prince and Pine Grove there, once that gets done, and there's going to be landscaping there in the old Planet Wings, on the Planet Wings site, there's a large planting area going in there. That whole intersection is going to be tremendously improved. I hope. My fingers are crossed. So that was that. Kareen had to leave the meeting, so I'll skip over the tree ordinance update. She was working on that to get some improved drawings to add into that. We have the updated tree list, which we're going to separate out, but we'll go back to that next month. Greenkill Avenue, I know there was concern raised by the public about the trees that went in there. There is questionable trees. We reached out to the DOT. The contract with their landscaper goes through the fall of this year. So any trees that do not survive will be replaced. And they are watching it. They have been out there. They agree that some of the trees do not look all that great or all that healthy.
Right.
There's a lot of them, actually, more than I have liked to have seen, but they seem to be mostly of one. I'm trying to remember the species. I don't have the paperwork in front of me.
Sycamores?
Yeah.
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 I drive by there.
Yeah. So we'll see where that goes. We're keeping our eye on it. They know we're watching it. So they're aware of it. There was also the complaint about the Dietz Stadium. That was the next thing on my list, about the banners being tacked into the 2 trees at the entrance to the stadium. And once we presented those photos and our objection to that that procedure to the recreation department, they came right on board. So they've immediately went out, they're removing those, the tacks or the nails and everything. There had to be 20 to 30 tacks in each tree. People just rip the banners down and leave the tacks in place. They just looked horrible. But they're also not going to allow that any longer. So those trees won't be, they don't look worse for what has happened to them. I think they'll continue to grow and be healthy trees, but they're not going to allow that banners be installed using those trees anymore. So I thought that was a really great thing. I didn't get to really introduce Evan today. Hopefully next month. He only had a day's notice really of this meeting from his appointment. So that's why he had another meeting scheduled at 4. He was only here for a brief half hour, but I look forward to working with him on the commission. And next month, we also will have hopefully GPI and our city engineers here to talk about the Flatbush Foxhall Avenue project with us. They were originally scheduled for June, had to ask to be put off. They wanted to put some finishing touches on their basic designs. They didn't realize the date of this meeting. Amanda, who is the GPI person, is getting married this weekend, so she was not able to be here today. So I consented to allow her to take the day off and do her thing. And so they'll be here next month with us as well. And that's all that I have, unless anybody has anything else. Our next meeting is July 13th. It's the second Tuesday of the month, normal day. If anybody has anything else, let me know. If not, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn at 4:56. Tebby, thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Amanda, you want to second
Second the
that?
motion.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we are all done. I thank you all for juggling your schedule for today instead of Tuesday. And I will be in touch. Okay?
Thank,
All right.
Thank-
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody have a good night.
hey, thank you. Thanks for putting up with me.